the biggest Bitcoin Ponzi scheme in recent history. This is a story of greed, deceit, betrayal, which will leave you wondering how anybody could fall for such a big scam. $1.7 billion stolen, families and relationships destroyed, lives ruined, and a manhunt for an on-the-run fraudster. This is the story of Mirror Trading International. To understand how Mirror Trading International came to be, we need to go back to April 2019, when a guy called Johan Steinberg founded the company in South Africa.
I started MTI, end of March, beginning of April. What happened is a bunch of my friends over the years lost money in all sorts of online investments. And when that happened, I decided, I want to build a company.
The company claimed to be a forex trading platform which used cutting-edge algorithms and trading bots to provide steady returns on your Bitcoin. Sounds fair, right? Johan Steinberg, also referred to by many as Joe Stein, was a charismatic guy who offered people double-digit monthly returns on their Bitcoin. This attracted thousands of people globally to invest with him. As Mirror Trading International grew in popularity, Steinberg became more and more brazen in his approach. He continued to promise investors double-digit monthly returns, even though there was no trading going on. Instead, Steinberg was using new investors' money to pay the promised returns to older investors, creating a Ponzi scheme which was inevitably going to collapse. A classic Ponzi a la Bernie Madoff. A Ponzi scheme is a fraudulent investment scheme that promises high returns with little to no risk. The way it works is that early investors are paid returns with the money of new investors, creating the illusion of profitability. This cycle continues until the scheme can no longer attract new investors or pay out returns, causing the scheme to collapse and leaving many investors with nothing. In short, a Ponzi scheme is a type of scam that relies on the continuous recruitment of new investors to pay off the promised returns to the older investors. There are no actual legitimate profit or earnings.
It does appear that he was not doing what he was telling his clients that he was doing, which is to say, turning the Bitcoin into more Bitcoin through advanced algorithmic trading strategies. The Feds say that there were no trading strategies, there were no trades, there were no bots. It was just bring money in.
To keep the flywheel spinning, Steinberg hired recruiters to bring in and attract new investors. These recruiters were paid handsome return for every new investor they could bring into the fold. They used social media and other marketing tactics to lure in unsuspecting victims who were looking for a quick way to generate returns on their money. The recruiters promised high returns, low risk, and a sense of community that made people feel like they were part of something special. At its peak, Mirror Trading International claimed to have hundreds of millions of dollars in assets under management. However, there was no transparency, and investors could not remove or withdraw their money when they wanted to. Instead, they were given excuses and promises that were never fulfilled. Some investors were even threatened with legal action if they tried to withdraw their money. Despite the red flags, people continued to pour money into the scheme. They were blinded by greed and the fear of missing out on the next big thing. Investors really did think they were investing their money in a high-tech investment which would grow their Bitcoin. They were under the impression that MTI had built and operate sophisticated algorithms and trading bots, when in reality there was nothing. You see, Steinberg knew how to play with people's emotions, and he would use his charisma and charm to convince people that he was really on their side. As is common with Ponzi schemes, the masterminds knew that if they let a small percentage of investors withdraw their funds and return successfully, this will help to convince new entrants into the scheme that this was actually a legitimate investment. MTI operations started in South Africa but soon expanded overseas, including 23,000 Americans who collectively handed over just shy of 30,000 Bitcoin. At Bitcoin's peak price in 2021, this is worth approximately $1.9 billion. But here's the kicker: not only were MTI promising handsome returns, they were also offering a bonus. Yep, these bonuses were offered to people who had invited their friends and family into the scheme too. This created a viral, multi-level marketing pyramid which grew the number of members in the network rapidly. Again, the masterminds were very savvy. They knew that a referral from a friend or loved one would go much further to quell any suspicions versus a recruiter trying to sign them up. However, by the summer of 2020, the regulators were closing in, and it was only a matter of time before the whole scheme would unravel, leading to a multi-year manhunt involving Interpol, multiple governments, and global search agencies. In July 2020, the Texas State Security Board issued a cease and desist order against Mirror Trading International, claiming that they were violating state security law. This was followed by similar orders in South Africa by their FSCA, or the Financial Sector Conduct Authority. Despite the regulatory pressure, Steinberg continued to operate the scheme using shell companies and offshore accounts to cover his tracks. He even went so far as to create fake trading reports and used forged documents to deceive investors and regulators. During his testimony under oath with the FSCA, Steinberg claimed that MTI had linked member trading accounts to a professional trader through a multi-account manager arrangement linked to professional trading software MetaTrader 4 and broker FX Choice between April and July of 2019. According to him, the trading apparently involved derivative instruments based on forex pairs. However, Steinberg revealed that during this period, MTI incurred significant losses of up to 80%, prompting the company to request members to delink their FX Choice accounts from the multi-account manager and transfer their Bitcoin to a pooled account. Steinberg later claimed that from August 2019, MTI utilized a bot and a trading team to make all trading decisions, which resulted in successful trades. However, the authorities found evidence which contradicted Steinberg's statements. In December 2020, the FSCA concluded its investigation of MTI, highlighting that MTI and its senior management are conducting an illegal operation, misleading clients, and have contravened several laws. Mirror Trading International was officially placed under provisional liquidation. Johann Steinberg goes missing, his whereabouts unknown as members flock to process their withdrawal. Investors were left high and dry with little hope of ever recovering their money. The liquidators estimated that the company had defrauded investors of around $589 million, making it one of the largest Ponzi schemes in history. But Steinberg wasn't operating alone. It gets much more complicated and intriguing. A leaked call between key members of MTI's senior leadership exposed the ongoings of those frantic few weeks. During the call, which appears to have taken place shortly before the MTI leadership's unusual final statement on the 22nd of December, the COO, or their Chief Operating Officer of MTI, informed the leadership that he was working on a plan to bring Steinberg back to South Africa, an extraction plan.
Extracting Johan is my priority at the moment, but I don't want any legal implications on that. So I'm going to be, once again, this is very confidential and it stays among us.
It was alleged that Steinberg had flown to Sao Paulo via Doha on the 2nd of December after getting an anonymous tip-off that his life was in danger, so he fled from South Africa. The MTI leadership's plan to bring Steinberg back involved convincing his wife to sign off control of their silver holdings worth 1.6 million rand, which would be used to pay for an extraction team to locate and return Steinberg back to South Africa.
I know of Johan, who's got 1.6 million rands worth of silver currently in South Africa. I'm going to get Narina to sign off that silver to go find Johan. So Narina is initiating the extraction and the finding of Johan. Okay. That's what I'm doing. So there will not be any legal complications from our sides. She makes a call, she transfers the money, she will do that. I will make sure of that. So that's been addressed and we've agreed on that. So I know of the member who's got the silver, he's confirmed it. He has brokers that can release those funds based on that. We pay the team and they deploy and they go find Johan Steinberg.
The plan required that Steinberg's wife be unaware of what the silver was being used for. When asked by the media whether they had conspired with the rest of the MTI leadership to kidnap Steinberg, Clinton Marks, the head of MTI's referral program and members, and Cherie Marks, the head of communication and marketing, denied any involvement. I did some digging into the team members, starting with Cherie Marks, and spent hours going down a rabbit hole. On paper, she was 50-50 partner with Johan Steinberg in MTI, but something wasn't sitting right. It turns out that she uses various different aliases, including Cherie Ward and Duba Lion. But what I then found stunned me. Not only was Cherie Marks a crucial part of the MTI scam, but it turns out that she is a serial Ponzi scheme addict. So much so that some have given her the rather unwanted title of the Queen of Ponzi Schemes and the Ponzi Princess. Her resume of Ponzi's include the $80 million Bitcoin global Ponzi scam and MMM Global launched in 2011. She also launched and operated a host of MLM schemes including My Daily Choice, Syntech and Copy Profit Success Global, all designed to grab cash from profit-seeking investors. So it got me thinking, was Johan Steinberg just an accomplice to Cherie Marks, the mastermind? In order to cement this idea, I decided to dig a little further into the biggest of Cherie's scams, the Bitcoin Global Ponzi scam. You see, the Bitcoin Global Ponzi scam had a very similar structure to the MTI scam. It's simple. You send your BTC to BTC Global and you'll earn 2% a day, you'll earn 14% a week, and 50% a month. The website displays a man named Stephen Twain as the primary trader. I dug a little further. Throughout the time that BTC Global operated, nobody had communicated or spoken with this Stephen guy face to face. He never appeared at any media or marketing campaigns, he never took any telephone calls. The only traces of him were through WhatsApp conversations or newsletter segments. Stephen had no public record. He had no known associates or colleagues that were willing to step forward. No social accounts, no nothing. It was almost as if Stephen didn't exist, just this one picture, which then left two options. The first, Stephen is a master scammer who left no stone unturned and managed to have no digital presence. The second, he's a made-up fictional character, made up by Cherie Marks. You see, Stephen had an odd exit strategy from BTC Global. When withdrawals started to be requested from the Ponzi scheme, payments stopped. Cherie Marks informed members that Stephen's spouse had given birth to twins. She then changed her story and said that Stephen was brutally attacked in his house and all of his trading equipment was stolen. All rather odd. Back to Johan Steinberg, the founder of MTI. After the MTI Ponzi scheme collapsed in late 2020, he fled to Brazil hoping to avoid capture and extradition. He was rumored to hold the keys to the 17,000 Bitcoin, worth $450 million at the time. It wasn't until January of 2021, almost a full year later, that he was arrested in Brazil by military police. He was detained in the central province of Goiás for using false documents. Apparently, this arrest was executed by Brazilian police on behalf of an arrest warrant issued by the US FBI, who were working to protect the assets of US investors who got caught up in MTI. But then, what about South Africa and the South African investors who got caught up in MTI too? It all gets very complicated. But this story doesn't end here because Johan was not willing to lay down without a fight. He decided to fight the extradition by forming a new family in Brazil. He was hoping that this would convince the judge that he was no longer a flight risk. Bit odd considering he flew away from his current wife from South Africa when he fled to Brazil. A Brazilian judge dismissed this application, revealing that South African authorities had presented documentation aimed at formalizing the extradition request, referring to the National Prosecuting Authority in South Africa submitting an extradition request. 16 months on as of May 2023, and Steinberg continued to be under Brazilian custody. He's still awaiting an extradition hearing, with no sign or date being rumored of when such a hearing could take place. The impact of Mirror Trading International on investors was devastating. People lost their life saving, their home, their dreams of a better future. The emotional toll of such a scam cannot be overstated, and it serves as a reminder for all of us to be vigilant and skeptical whenever looking to invest our hard-earned money. Mirror Trading International is a cautionary tale of greed, deception, and misplaced trust. Johann Steinberg, Cherie Marks, and co-conspirators took advantage of people's desire to earn money quickly and played on their emotions for their own benefit, and it serves as a reminder to all of us. Investing is not a get-rich-quick scheme, and you should always do your due diligence, seek professional advice, even if the returns seem reasonable. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.